Welcome to the Trainers Talk Show. Today we have with us Kavita M. Kindly introduce yourself for our audience.
Thank you, Rohan, for having me here on your talk show. And I'm glad that this is an exclusive talk show for trainers. Generally, our fraternity does not have too much of a promotion unless individual trainers do it. So I think this is a good thing that you're doing for us. Thanks so much. I am a corporate trainer. I train for soft skills, especially in attitudinal and behavioral trainings for various corporates. And I am from Mysuru, the cultural capital of Karnataka. And I travel across the country on training assignments to various MNCs, education institutions, universities, and also various other organizations. So besides this, I also do one-to-one communication skills coaching for professionals who need them. And I do it both online and offline. So if there's someone who's looking for a career advancement or cracking interviews or facing a stress interview or something like that, then I can always help them out to ease out their situation and face it boldly.
Great, ma'am. It was really wonderful to know that whenever people face challenges, they come to a person who can help them because we cannot see from our own eyes. Like, for example, we have our right eye and our left eye. The right eye can't see our left eye. It requires a mirror. Similarly, we require a person who can check what is wrong with us and how we can correct it. And that is what I can say the duty or a job or a work, or we can say a service to the society of a trainer. And you are from the trainer fraternity, and I really welcome you. In this episode, we are going to explore the story behind a trainer and his attitude and his willingness to add value in the society. Sometimes, as a trainer, we face such challenges, and how we overcome those challenges, that is also we are going to see in today's episode. So I would like to ask you my first question, that whenever we do something, we do it one day or one particular time as a starting phase, or we can say one day we start that work to do, and then it becomes our habit, it becomes our continuous work pattern. So being a trainer, how you started yourself, your career as a trainer, we would like to know that story, that how you started your career as a trainer, ma'am.
It's actually a very interesting story. I never knew that there was something of this kind of a profile. Back in 2007, when Infosys set up its centralized training unit, the complete development center in Mysuru. Okay, there was 365 acres of facilities of international standards. And then till then, I had been working with children, doing a lot of community development, social service activities and all that. And I was doing life skills trainings for various student groups in different schools. So that was just as a hobby. And we were about 5 friends who had set out on a mission to, kind of help students in schools. And since I had that background and kind of certified trainings from Breakthrough, and we also were running a project but funded by the Tata Foundation, adopting 2 schools to support them for the whole year for life skills programs. So this is what I was doing, but it was not like a professional or a career-oriented approach. So by then, Infosys set up its facility, and there was someone who was running a company who was providing a panel of trainers to train the new recruits at Infosys, right? So the freshers from Pan India would come here for their first interface with corporate life, technical and soft skills training. So that is when I got my first entry into it. Till then, I was never a career-oriented person, but then I got this breakthrough. So it's not like I went in search of a job, but the job came looking for me, and no looking back ever since.
Great. It was really an insightful journey, because when we talk about the MNCs or when we talk about the big corporate companies, they are focusing on developing their manpower, developing the human resources, because ultimately whatever the work which is going to happen through them, and that's the reason the big companies are setting up their training centers, like as you mentioned. But many of the small scale companies, or you can say the companies who have not that much of budget for learning and development, they should also get such kind of training and development for their employees, so that their productivity will increase, their resources will be get empowered. So for that reason, you must have started your journey as your independent trainer. So what are the challenges you have faced during this time, when there is people must be understanding different setbacks, we can say, or something which was about to stop you from being a trainer and doing your work effectively, and how you overcome that?
Okay, actually, Rohan, I never had any such situation, because from the day I started, Infosys kept giving me a lot of work, and since we were freelancers, I always had the opportunity to train elsewhere also. And so I am from a business community. My family is a business family, and that's how we have a good name in Mysore. And there are a lot of businesses who know us. And there was one jeweler who approached me, and then they have about 15 employees and a very good business. Even theirs is almost three generation old business. And when he heard about what I do at Infosys, he said, "Why don't you do it for our employees?" So that's how I started. And almost for 15 years, I should say, I've been getting very good work, mostly by word of mouth referrals, and the kind of popularity, the patronage that I enjoy. I probably didn't have any challenges in terms of work, but I had challenges otherwise, which are slightly logistical nature. When I had to travel to different places, back then it was really difficult, when we didn't have Uber, we didn't have Oyo rooms, and we didn't have online train booking services and things like that. It was not so easy. And my family also was a little hesitant to, say yes to me traveling all over the country and all that. So I did have that kind of an obstacle initially. But once we figured out everything, I think it has been smooth sailing, and it has been a very, very rewarding journey, I should say.
Yes, very true, ma'am. Logistics also has its own challenges, and when we talk about our culture, our overall family values, there are certain difficulties, we can say, or we can say challenges that you must have faced. But definitely, as you said, that you have enjoyed this journey, it is really wonderful, because that enjoyment, that communication with your audience, the adding value with your audience, the audience must have blessed you because of the change that you have added in their life. So moving ahead with this, every trainer, every person who is into this public speaking and the communication, empowering people's life, adding the values, they have a different set of belief system. The one belief system has that they are always positive. They are having the very positive mindset. So if you want to add some point, or we can say, if you would like to share something about your belief system which help you to become an excellent trainer, or it gives you an we can say it gives you a happiness for doing what you do, and what are those belief systems you have?
So let me put things on the table. I am from a huge extended family. There are about 23 people in my family when I started my career. And I always felt it was very important to be emotionally intelligent, balanced, but that was not so easy when you had so many people at home. right? There's a lot of workload, and I was also studying, and I had a child. I was also newly married, and a lot of personal challenges. Then I had this thought process that I'm sure everyone will go through their own battles, and there must be some way in which we can always, step them up or empower them. And so I always wanted to help people. So unconsciously, I became a counselor to a lot of people. And that's how I discovered my mojo, I should say. That I love talking to people, interacting with people. I love trying to listen to them and see how they can help themselves with just that little interaction. Sometimes they don't even need your advice or recommendations; they will figure it out themselves. But you just have to listen to them and ask them the right questions. So these are some things which I follow even in my counseling and also in my training sessions as well. So I believe in the power of human potential.
Great. Yes. Power of human potential, and adding the training or adding the element of empowering them is basically gives you a happiness. Ma'am, when we talk about the trainer's success, there are certain key principles because the trainer has to have certain parameters, certain qualities, and there are certain strategies also nowadays. Trainer must have adapt. So, what is your take on this? That what key principles you think that are very much important as a trainer must have or becoming a successful trainer?
I think trainers are a league apart, right? In fact, a lot of them, we all remember our school teacher and for that kindness that the teacher showed us, right? But then after school, we don't get to have the same interaction, personal connect with them all the time. But then when we move on in life, we face tougher challenges, and especially without a safety net, right? So that is when people need some anchor. And when we go and meet people in companies, they find it really heartening that there is someone who they can, talk to freely and not be judged, or someone who will lend their ear and try to understand what they are trying to say, even if they did not say, or something like that, right? So there are many people who say that I never thought that this session would be so exhilarating or overwhelming.
Charismatic, we can
It
say.
brought out a lot of things out of me. It helped me to discover myself, and we listen to all of them. And my strategy is always, even if I have 30 participants, I try to make a one-to-one contact. I remember all their names till the end of the day that I am there with them, right from the word go. I try to use their names. That helps me to personalize to them. And they also tell me that, ma'am, I feel like I can share what I really have in mind. I don't have to fake. I don't have to be politically correct. I can always say what I feel. And I think that is what makes the training sessions really authentic.
Great, great. When we talk about the training session, and the training session needs to be authentic, where we talk about the adding value. Sometimes a client or the company asks us a specific challenge that their team is facing, and then during that time, trainer adds a value in terms of changing the perspective of their team, and
Correct.
that's what drives the result. So, would you like to share a relevant, we can say, example of your past experiences about your client, and not you cannot take the name, but the client, its expectation, and how your training program actually helped them to achieve where they were stuck.
I can actually give you a lot of examples. One was at a IT company, they had hired freshers, and my batch had about 30 people. And apparently, I discovered after 30 minutes into the session, I discovered that they had been hired from two different colleges in Rajasthan, and they both were rival colleges. And they carried that rivalry even into the corporate life. And so I had to help them understand about what is professionalism and what is expected out here. And it is not very helpful to bring in your personal perspectives when you're in a professional setting. So I had to do it through various activities, storytelling, and also I had to make them shake hands with each other and share common stories. And also I had to talk to them about the iceberg principle, that you understand somebody at the first impression only about 10% of their personality, but then you have to find out and talk to them to know more about them and things like that. And by the end of the day, they all shook hands, hugged each other, and said, "Jo past mein tha, wo past chhod denge. Abhi we will start afresh on a clean slate." So that was a big success for me. So that was a big mind shift that I had to bring in. Actually, my session that day was totally a different topic. But then since I noticed this hostile environment, I devoted a lot of time to first bringing them onto the table and making them see eye to eye amicably. And then I had to talk about the actual topic that I had to deliver that. So that was a very good challenge I faced. And one more incident which I can talk about is there was one company, it's a tech company again. They were adapting a new technology, and though they had really efficient and competent people on the team, they were not ready to adapt to the new technology, right? So it was all about change management and adapting a growth mindset. So this I found out during the training need analysis, and then I discussed with the coordinator, and I curated a program right from end to end, and we did a pre-session analysis and a post-session analysis and all that. And again, there the module that I delivered was about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And by the end of 4 or 5 hours that I did through various activities and all that, and through their own personal sharing and peer learning, we could bring in that big paradigm shift. So the training coordinator was really happy, and they all took me out for a treat after the session. And I think that was a very memorable one, because now they felt equipped and empowered to face the change that they had to go through. And it was they thought it was not as difficult to adapt to change as they had imagined it to.
Great, ma'am. As a trainer, we definitely have so much of memories, so much of examples, so much of case studies. And when we talk about our own journey, now that we have been, a seasoned trainer, we can say, or we are now working for, say, last couple of years. When we spend a time in a particular career, that we get so much of experience. And when we have that experience, we are giving some thoughts that if this information, these insights, if I would have when I started my career, that would be wonderful. So just imagine you are starting your own career and you are giving advice to your own self, or the trainers out there who are just starting their career. What is the advice or a tip you would like to give to them, those who are just starting their career as a trainer into the various fields?
I actually have a couple of mentees whom I am training to be trainers in life skills and soft skills. So if I had to give them some recommendation or an advice, it would be to kind of go all out in the world and develop their own worldly knowledge, right? In Kannada, we say Vyavahara Gnana, right? So you have to understand how things work, how people think in different situations, how they respond and react. What is the psychology? What are the dynamics of behaviors? First, you have to go all out in the world, interact with different kinds of people, and then make your notes, right? But not make your judgment about it. So this is a very good tip. In fact, I explored it like that. And I would definitely want all these young trainers also to meet a lot of people from different domains so that they actually get on the ground and understand the pain point of people, especially in terms of, where they lack in attitude or behavior and things like that. So that at the back of your mind, you already have some thought process on how you could help them to step up their game. So I think it's a very helpful tip.
Great, great, great. It was wonderful tip. Ma'am, when we talk about success and our trainer journey, or we can say the journey in the field of training industry, we feel that people are sometimes need to be directed properly. They need to give some insight. They should given the tools so that they can increase their performance. They can have their resources utilized rightly, effectively. But sometimes there are certain mistakes, or the we can say the mistakes only, which are happened by the trainer, and those mistakes are very crucial when we talk about building our personal brand, building our social media presence, building our testimonials. And one thing I would say that those mistakes are irreversible, and those mistakes are a time bound, because that time we have not done that. So, what are those mistakes which you would like to share with us?
Oh, yeah, yeah. A lot of experimentation and learns lessons from the mistakes I've done. So I am from Mysore and I work a lot in Bangalore. Okay, because that is where the IT capital is, right? And there was this one company for which I had done first round of pilot training. And the moment I finished the training company which had sent me there got a mail that so we are going to do an year-long program. Every month we want only Kavitha, right? So they were impressed and they had requested the training vendor to send only me to do all their modules. I was really very happy when I got back home in the night. I saw that mail. I was very happy about that. Okay. And then fast forward to 15 days later when they actually scheduled a program. Okay. And that day I traveled early in the morning, all right, to Bangalore. And unfortunately, there was a Rasta Roko because there was some procession that was happening at the entrance of Bangalore. As I entered from Mysore, there was a procession happening, and I was stalled for nearly 1.5 hours. I thought I will get down, take an auto, and go, across. But even that was not possible because all the roads were blocked, and there was no point in making any effort to cross that procession. It was a very huge procession. And obviously, I got late. I kept getting calls. It was already 8:30. I was supposed to be there, starting my session at 9 a.m. And the facility was nearly about 10 kilometers away from where I was. It was impossible that I could reach there. So I learned a very big lesson that day. And they said, we are very sorry, we are canceling the session and we don't want to have any, professional association with your company. And the company that had sent me lost that client. That was a very, very big loss. I felt so bad, so embarrassed. And that day I realized that I should never take a chance. And then from then I used to plan my travel even before. So now if I have to go to Bangalore from Mysore, I start at 3 a.m. and reach there at least 4 hours before my session. And now, of course, there is an expressway and there are a lot of facilities, very good metro system and all that. Back then, when this happened, it wasn't that great. So I actually risked a lot and lost out on a very good opportunity. And that was
Yeah,
a big lesson.
we can say that though it was not your fault, but understanding the circumstances and maybe a communication was what the learnings for you during that time. It was really challenging time, and definitely when we have this challenging time and there is a monetary loss, or we can say the responsibility, or we can say the blame is coming on us. that is actually an emotional, damage to us also. But also
Correct.
sometimes this damage builds us when we take a positive side from that, we learn from that, and that is what you have done, as you have said.
Yes.
So when we talk about the characteristic the trainer should have to become a successful trainer, what are those characteristics which you feel that every trainer should have, and you admire those qualities and those characteristics?
Yeah. Number one is being open minded, right? Not to think that I am a Sarvagna, I know everything. It is a very unhelpful thought. But instead, if you are open minded and you know everything is changing so fast, everybody's life situations, lifestyles, and the way they have to think about things, everything has changed so fast, right? So it's always nice to keep your mind open and listen to people. And the next thing I would say is, you know, adapting quickly to changes. If you take too long, you will miss the bus. So you must be very quick in adapting to changes. And another thing is, it would be nice if we can customize our programs on the go. It is a skill that we develop, as we gain experience. Initially, we go with a standard set structure and all that, but nowadays it's not like that. I have at least 20 things that I am ready to do, and I pick up from my quiver one arrow after the other and I start shooting it. And I always play by the ear. So, whatever my audience needs to develop is what I try to bring in as a concept. So, that adaptability and thinking on your feet is a very good trait, and we have to develop that. There is no compromise on that. That's what
Great,
I.
great. Yes. Adapting the change is something which is very relevant, very important, and that is something which takes us to come out of the comfort zone. And
Right.
when we talk about this with you, Kavita ma'am, there are various trends which are changing in the training industry. For example, starting your online course, creating your videos, starting your YouTube channel, having your podcast. So, what are those changes in the training industries or the trends which are there? Now, artificial intelligence is also coming. So, what are those trends you are following in the field of training, and how you basically adapt them, or if you have any plans to adapt them in near future? We would love to know about it.
Technically, I was not a very social media savvy person. I was almost like, you have this big question, right? What do you like, the book or the movie? And someone like me would always say, I love the book more than the movie, because movie presents everything ready made, but book is for you to visualize and imagine. So the same way we have this. I always thought it is great to interact with a person in person rather than virtually. But now I cannot speak like that, because almost everything needs a virtual complementary interaction. Of course, in person interaction are always valuable, but it is equal and complementary that you are also proficient interacting virtually. So, I'm part of Toastmasters. Have you heard of Toastmasters, Rohan? Yes. Okay. So, that is where I have a platform to experiment, and I have a very supportive community. So, if I have any requirement to learn any technology, like even during COVID, adapting to Zoom or whatever, MS Teams and all that, it was that community that experimented first, and there are no stakes attached. I don't lose any money if I don't do something correctly. I can always correct myself. But when in the professional scenario, it will cost me a lot of money and high risk if I don't do something properly. But in Toastmasters, it is not like that. We have a very supportive community. And so they helped me to adapt to, being comfortable on social media and explore different, possibilities. So I have, started my own website. It is all work in progress. And I have my own YouTube channel. And now I have learned to be a lot more active on Instagram and LinkedIn. And these are things that I have learned, in the past 1.5 years, because I understood that this is the way forward, and there is no looking back. I cannot keep saying I like only the book, I don't like movie. I cannot say that, right? So I have to enjoy both, the best of both worlds. So yes, so my social media channel on Instagram is, one is my own account, Kavitha _ M. Prakash, and then I have Kavitha's Capsules. It is KAVITHAS
Great, ma'am. Awesome.
And
So,
even the YouTube
following,
channel has the same name.
okay, great. So we will put the link in the description so that audience can go through it.
Sure.
When we talk about these trends and having the social media presence or the personal brand which is there, that is we can say a showcasing to the world, right?
Very.
So to showcasing to the world, we must have something with us, and that is what is being built by the books we read, the trainings we took for empowering ourselves as a trainer also, and what are those books which you would recommend to the trainers, rather we can say, because the trainers should also go through that content and empower themselves as an effective trainer, coach, mentor, and they will be adding an effective value, or they are adding value very much effectively with the help of these resources. You can also mention certain websites if you want to share, or you can share certain articles or journals, any reference which you would like to share with our audience.
Okay, now of course, ChatGPT gives everything. In fact, you don't need various resources that way. But still, I have some personal choices which have helped me. One, of course, is when I started my career at Infosys, we had to do a development assignment of a book review of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? So that was a very huge book, and we were given only a week to read and also talk about it. That was a game changer for me because it helped me to go on a self-discovery mode and also reset what all I had to do things. Right. So that's one book which I recommend still. And the second one is the Bhagavad Gita, which has helped me to take a stoic attitude towards life. And now it is much easier for me to have no expectations and absolutely no misery because of expectations. That's the second book. The third book would be Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, which is a masterpiece. I never knew that there was something called emotional intelligence. And in fact, all the other intelligences that we talk about, right? Verbal, linguistic, mathematical, kinesthetic. There are so many intelligences. So that was a big eye opener for me. And I started focusing on a lot of things once I read that book. So that's another favorite of mine. And then right now I'm reading one book called Deep Work. I'm yet to discover what exactly it is all about. And sometime maybe when we get back again, I will talk to you about that book a little more. And as for other resources, I think now there is no dearth of podcasts, and there are some top podcasters in India. Recently, we saw the National Creators Award. So you better follow all of them who receive the awards. It's nice. So that's one general tip which I myself discovered and which is very helpful. And by watching podcasts, you actually develop 3 things. One is, of course, the content knowledge, and next, the critical analysis that they deliver, because there are experts on the show. And the third one is you also develop your language, right? You pick up the right jargon, the terminology that is relevant to that field. And when you use it in your own trainings, you will sound like a very, knowledgeable person, authentic person, credibility increases, and it is very helpful. I find that very amusing because I basically have a flair for words and language. And so I enjoy it from all these 3 perspectives. It keeps me updated.
Yes,
So,
very much important. That last line, what you have said, that is, we have to keep us updated. And when we keep us ourselves updated, we
Yes,
get a different level of energy. Sometimes we say that energy is everything and everything is energy. And that's the reason we both are together on the
yes,
Trainers Talk Show.
correct.
Ma'am, I really thank you for sharing your wonderful insights in the field of training industry. Apart from this, would you like to share something which can add value for the trainers and the people who are organizing the training programs?
There are two things here, Rohan. One is if I want to share some tips for people who organize trainings, I would rather want them to do it sincerely, because in some corporates, they just do it like an item on the checklist, right? Just because they have to do it, they do it, but there is actually no intention of helping their employees. But it'll be nice if they sincerely do it. It'll be great. That's one thing. And the second thing is a lot more things which I do apart from soft skills training, right? I work intensively with children, young students on many other skills as well. So I am a master trainer for Spellbee international level. So I train people for competing in international Spellbee competition. And many of my students have aced at the international level. They have become international champions and competed, traveled to different countries, and taken part in competitions over there. So that's one thing which I love doing. The second thing is, if you've heard of the board game, word building board game called Scrabble, so I do trainings for that, right? It is a game of strategy of putting words in a crossword fashion. And that requires heavy vocabulary and lot of spatial intelligence. So I have trained students who have become national champions and who have taken part in international championships also. There are tournaments, just like how you have chess tournaments, you also have Scrabble tournaments, both online and offline, right? So these are some niche things which I'm doing just because I had a passion for words. So I never knew these avenues would open up for me. Okay. I just loved words. I started using them. I played with words. I used to write poetry in college. And I thought that is what you can do with words and language. But
Yes.
later I discovered there are so many more avenues that you can tap with these things. And this is how I ended up being a master trainer for all this. So never think that you can do only one or two things. There are so many more possibilities.
Yes, the time we have is limited, and what we can do is up to our choice. If we
Yes.
utilize that time effectively, we will add immense value to the society, and that is what I can see with the today's episode. Thank you so much, Kavita ji, for joining us and enlightening the audience about your journey in the training industry. I would like to say, as you spoke about the Toastmasters, also international spell bee competition. These are those activities are done by the people who go out of their comfort zone, and
Yeah.
they do add extra efforts for getting an extra results. So whenever you find that someone is doing something extra, just pat him and give him that support. When
Yes.
you are taking a good initiative, you are taking good efforts, your journey will be difficult, but yes, that will be a memorable journey. So with this, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining the Trainers Talk Show.